Good morning. I'm very anxious, but it will pass in 2 minutes, so you just need to bear me 2 minutes. Every time I had the occasion to say thank you in public, in gala awards for instance, I screw it up. Because the heart rhythm was so accelerating, my hands were trembling, they were more powerful than the speech in my head. But now I want to share some glamorous thank you. Michael, if you wouldn't have the idea and the vision to create a business school for creative workers, I would have remained perhaps an inefficient anarchist. The professor I've been exposed to and the experience I've been through together with my class colleagues and with the guys in other classes really enriched my life very, very much. I have Vicente, and thank you for that. For me, the thesis conceiving was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I tell you what, never again. But well, David here, guiding me so gracefully and so inspiring, made me feel like I want more thesis in school now. Special thanks go to Keith Reinhardt, our godfather, that I hope we're going to see on Sunday, for showing us that we can be a great, inspiring model, role model, but also wealthy and famous. Without the time offered by my 35 subjects that you will meet later on, this work wouldn't have been possible, so big thanks goes to them. Some of them are here. Vato, you represent them. Take all the thanks. As the rest of the list of my intellectual debts is too long, so I'll go straight to the emotional ones. My warmest thank you goes to my family, especially to my mother. Here, short hair. Oh, no! Short hair, okay, to my mother, whose really long life example inspired me all the way. And of course to the man who is playing multiple roles in my life as coach, inspiration source and personal comedian, my loving life partner Vicente. Gracias, mi amor. Imagination is the raw material that I used in everything I was doing and I'm doing, but I need to confess here that I hate it. I never liked science fiction, which is funny because science fiction as a genre is basically imagination at work. But the funnier thing is that one saying of Jean-Luc Picard's Star Trek commander encapsulates basically the spirit of my thesis. Once, while trying to make peace with a very awkward civilization, he said that what is impossible stops being impossible the moment it becomes possible. It makes me smile because it's such a truism, but truism sometimes can be inspiring. I have developed my work around a big question that stayed with me for years: why advertising as an overall phenomenon looks so badly. Why the consumers, you, me, our friends, our parents, are usually exposed to such a boring, didactic and no-fun ads like this published in one of the most upscale magazines of the world. I couldn't stop wondering where are the fruits of thinking of so many talented, interesting, vivid people that the advertising agencies are stuffed with. Why the advertising can't be averagey, great, nice, inspiring, with a real persuasion power. Working 12 years in advertising as copywriter and later as creative director, I know we produce far more big ideas than we sell. My assumption was that we sell around 10% out of the total presenting. It is very anemic. And I thought that our problem is related basically to our inability to sell our ideas. This thought, the study that I made during this thesis work and an extensive research I have conducted encouraged me to dare to create a toolkit helping agencies to sell more big ideas and consequently consumers to see more inspirational advertising. At the beginning of my study, I have examined creativity as an end product, not as a personal process as we are used to see it, as the romantic philosophy inspired by Plato learned to see it, as an end product. The creative work of copywriters and art directors relies as much on clients as a painter artistic proposal depends on the approval of a gallery owner. During this study, I met a great guy, well, a great gentleman, and a respectable great gentleman, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, eminent researcher and professor of psychology at the University of Chicago. He conducted 91 in-depth interviews with worldwide recognized creative people, Nobel Prize winners, poets, musicians, physicians, and after this study he came to the conclusion that, surprise, the creativity as a whole is not a personal endeavor, but it requires cultures and experts to validate it. Applied to advertising, the Csikszentmihalyi model means the individual, the creators, the creatives in the agency, uses information from the domain, which is formed by information about brand, business, culture in general. And they create a novelty, an idea. This idea, using the domain, needs to be approved by the field, who are the clients, the gatekeepers of the domain. When the clients are approving the idea, the novelty, basically the idea goes back in the domain, enriches it. And the creatives will going to use the domain now, enrich with the idea that is already there. More simpler, in our modern time, in our world, in our times, creativity and creation and sales are intrinsically bonded. An idea that is not sold, it's nothing. It's an empty thing. And this made a really impact on me, because after so many years thinking that it's really valuable what you are coming with, the fruits of your mind, of your heart, I found out that no, this is just a part of the thing. You need more than that. So basically, an idea, to be an idea, needs social recognition. With this in mind, that really impacted me. I have talked with 35 people from our industry. They are marketing directors and creative directors, reflecting the two sides of the process, selling, buying. Creative directors sell ideas, marketing directors buy ideas. The way I choose them, I look for a fair representation of international and local businesses, for clients and for agency also, and different positions on the market. The interviews I have conducted were in depth, almost half of them being done face-to-face. In our extensive discussion, and you can figure out how long a creative director can talk about his ideas, I kept focused on 4 topics. I tried to find a definition for the big idea, as long as our industry doesn't really provide any, for me as an instrument largely considered. Second, I tried to understand why the agency don't sell their big ideas. Third, how agencies sell their big ideas. And fourth, which are the opportunities to improve. First, I was very surprised that none of my subjects contradicted my assumption that the current advertising is garbage. Overall, it's garbage overall. Garbage is the word used by the clients, because the creative director were using the most compelling word, shit. So trying to define the big idea with the help of my subjects, I gathered the most mentioned opinions on what a big idea definition should sound, and I resulted with the following. A big idea changes or gives a fresh perspective on business by creating a strong emotional connection with the consumer. Then I found out that the creative directors with an average career of 8 years sold only 20.6 ideas out of the total presenting. And we are not talking here about Romania or Georgia. We are talking about America. We are talking about the heart of the creativity, which is South America. So we are all in the same shit. So this percentage, 12.6, I found it really depressing. And then I asked them, but why is this happening? Why don't we sell more? And marketing directors were explaining me that they don't buy usually a big idea because they sell to fail it internally in their organizations, or the big ideas did not reflect the brand equity, or the decision regarding buying the big idea was made in a committee. Creative directors were explaining that a big idea, they didn't sell a big idea when agency was very weak on client knowledge, clients is fearful, or they were in the process of selling buying, the key decision maker was not involved. Except fear factor, which our colleagues and the Berlin School alumni Lucia Tabarzowska demonstrated in her thesis that affects 80% of the companies, I believe that all the reasons explaining agency failure are related to the vast topic of clients' knowledge. Franco Moretti, one of the most senior in my sample, most senior creative directors, 36 years experience worldwide, he said to me that not knowing the client's personal dreams and values, you are just wasting ammunition. As we usually learn a lot from mistakes, I must admit that I learned very much from the success of my subjects. Asking them how do they sell big ideas, or they buy the big ideas, the variety of answers that I received made impossible a simple classification. So what I've done, I put all this variety of a perspective into a long model explaining what do we need to do, how a successful buying selling looks. Then the model that I came to, I applied when I analyzed the sales of the campaign that I admired the most in the world, that is The Power of Dreams, created by the Wyden & Kennedy agency for Honda client. It fitted perfectly. So, an agency successfully sells a big idea when big idea promises return on investment and it's built on the brand equity. The agency demonstrates a profound knowledge of the client, it deploys selling abilities and includes the client in the creation process. The clients take the decision on the top level within a flat hierarchy and having a clear vision on the brand. The good relation between the clients in the agency is defined by trust and empathy as a result of the cultural alignment. Simple, right? In order to see this model living on a larger scale, we need to do a lot of serious improvements, and these mostly are related to client knowledge, superior consumer understanding, and we should seriously consider opening the creation process to the clients. These were the major findings that came through my research, and with this I got really convinced that selling big ideas should be regarded as a systematic process that is formed by certain and interrelated stages. My model contains 10. And the process starts in the moment when agency and client agree to work together. The steps of my toolkit reflects not only changes in the way the agency used to work, but also, which I find more important, in the way that they think. And now let's see step by step what is going on. Big idea creation and sale, it's not an easy but. Let's be very, very fair here. And we developed mechanics to make money without creating value. When Leo Burnett advises in the 70s his executives to stay focused on creative, great ideas, because doing so the money will come. But there are not many agencies that find beneficial this thinking. But the ones aligned with this philosophy, guess what, are leading the industry and while enjoying a very comfortable wealth. Sir John Haggerty, Marcelo Serpa, Tony Segara, Dan Wyden and David Kennedy are very desirable business partners, and their work is setting standards of excellence for the whole industry. It's basically a value circle. As a recent study conducted by the Institute of Practice in Advertising from London and the Gund report shows that creative campaigns at 11% more efficient than the non-creative ones. Big ideas is beneficial for the clients too. The big idea creation and selling, it's leadership because it's a choice, it's not luck. It's conviction. This is why I set as the first stage of my model comprehending its importance. Second, any company in this world have a structure that contains usually research and development, sales, sometimes includes marketing, customer service, and so on. Advertising agency that produces, we produce things, intangible creative products. We have R&D, which is creative department and strategy department. We have customer service, which is client service department, and sometimes marketing, which is covered by the new business position. But we don't have sales. The sale of the sales of the product of an agency is not assigned. The task is so vaguely shared among the creative director, the strategy director, the client service director, and the people below them. Nobody in the agency is really accounted and responsible for the end result, which is the sales. And this explains why we are so weak. Because we all know if an objective is not clear, established, assigned, checked during the process, and the result is not measured, it's not happening. So, assigned selling. We agencies are meant to provide the best solution communication for our clients' needs. But sometimes, or many times, big ideas doesn't really fit our clients' need. As the marketing director of PepsiCo Romania told me, some clients are adversely with a big idea. They are a big idea, and the idea is not to take the big idea, so not to risk. Communication standardization, multiple layers of decision are very hard, if not impossible, barrier to crack. And in many cases, we face rather a conjunction of them, not only one barrier. This is why it's very important to choose our battles. Trying to determine the impact of creativity on clients' businesses, ADC Germany and McKinsey conducting an amazing study, and they came up with the following conclusion. Succeeding with creativity depends on the industry. Moreover, the big idea risk-taking character claims for the presence of the real key decision maker. And now companies, what are they doing? They are throwing the decision game, procurement, legal, which by their nature they act like bottlenecks. The big idea can't resist in its fragility to this army of but-noters, as Franco Moretti called them. It is crucial to choose the client who is fit for the impact a big idea produces. Craig Davis, Global Creative Director of J. Walter Thompson, came out with this formula summarizing our weak comprehension on client. And he said that we enter any given assignment knowing 5% of the relevant information. 15% is the information we know we don't know, and the 80% is basically we don't even know we don't know. And one of his recent speeches in Latvia, Keith Reinhardt, pointed also the big importance of the client's knowledge. What if, as an interrogation that leads to big idea, it's meaningful only if it comes after finding a solid answer to what is. The clients, I believe, the clients don't expect on meeting us to see MBA graduates. I mean, they have a parcel of those within slapping distance, but they need to understand. They need to know what they should spend their money on our idea. Immersing in the client's business help us to show return on investment of our idea. Further, client vision should be very early captured in the process. Because if the client doesn't have a vision, which it happens pretty often, then we need to detect his dream, because this dream we can turn into a vision. And the benefit of helping a client to build a vision is that we can nurture this vision with our ideas. And an idea that nurtures client's dream get more support in its way to public exposure. Client culture will tell us which values we have to insert in our way we conduct business with them. Understanding their companies will help us to identify the decision tree and who is the real decision maker, and not to indulge every committee in the way. People, let's be honest, people with no power can't buy big ideas because it requires too much responsibility, and power comes with responsibility. But even all these are very well covered, we should never ever forget that selling is very much about what is it in the heart and in the mind of the client. Nothing majestic in our civilization would have been done without trust. Paris wouldn't have been the exemplary capital if the Emperor Napoleon III wouldn't have trust in Baron Haussmann abilities to urbanize the city. If the most experienced creative director in my sample, and I'm talking here about guys with more than 30 years experience, were telling me that they sold a lot of big ideas, it's not because they were necessarily more creative, but because they were more efficient trust builders. In understanding trust, an equation created by the trusted advisor helped me very much. So in trust formula, trustworthiness is C for credibility plus I for intimacy, R for reliability, divided by SO is self-orientation. Winning trust requires doing well in all dimensions in the client's eyes. Credibility is the one aspect of trust which is most commonly achieved. The awards in our conferences halls are short means transmitting that we have expertise and we have competence. Credibility is very much related to what a couple of creative directors in my sample mentioned as a key success factor in selling, the success record of the agency. So reputation, we need to take care of our reputation. Reliability is whether clients think we are dependable. It has a very explicit action because it links the agency word with the agency facts. Business can be very intensely personal. One of the biggest mergers in our industry, BBDO DDB, was originated and executed by two very good old friends, Keith Reinhardt and Ellen Rosenshine. Intimacy is driven by honesty and a willingness to expand bounds while maintaining a mutual respect. I believe that the biggest weakness of the agency in building trust could be found in the self-orientation dimension, because we talk too much about ourselves. We talk too much about the esteem creativity gives to us instead of showing in which way can help our clients' businesses. Or more egregious, what is happening many times these days in the crisis, when we simply transmitting we are in for the money. Trust might resemble a very soft matter, but think about yourself. You feel unconsciously, mentally, more prepared to jump in a roller coaster with somebody you trust, because it's more comfortable and it's more fun. Let's be straight, we agency very rarely have aligned agenda with our marketing directors, because marketing directors are many times involved in complex projects with sales, with R&D, with logistics, with trade. Keep telling. And they have difficult bosses. They have lousy subordinates. They have to run internal politics. We have to admit that their intention towards advertising, it's a slice, it's not a pie. And it's our job to enlarge this slice. If the agency, it's systematic building, creative solutions, strategic creative solutions, conversation, public positions that breathe the air of big idea, the clients learn about it. And what's the benefit if we had a client that learns about it? The benefit is that by education, we turn the strangeness of the big idea into something usual, and what is usual gets accepted. So repeat. Usually the process between clients and agency goes like this. Clients give a brief to the agency, stating a problem. The agency huddles for a period of time creating the solution, and it shows up. After the briefing, clients are facing a period of uncertainty and mystery, which is very hard to handle. When we go to the doctor and the cure doesn't come on the spot, we want to be with the doctor hand in hand in all the stages of the process, from the treatment, from the problem to the treatment. Teamwork describes my clients in my sample the relation that they want to have with their agency in order to approve big ideas. Teamwork is not mystery, it's fruitful openness. Understanding the importance of keeping clients close to the creation process, AMV BBDO London developed a very interesting tool and a very simple one, a micro blog shared between the agency team working on the project and the client. And in the blog they display how they approach the client problem, which contributions are added every day, and more important, who are the people that embrace the client's problem. And I come here and I ask you with whom solution will be the client might feel more aligned in the presentation day, in a pitch presentation day, with AMV that kept them close, or with the one of the agency with a hidden process whose solution pops up in the presentation day like a scary box in a toy. Asked a few months ago about his biggest worry as marketer, Trevor Edwards, Nike's chief marketing officer, answered, making sure we are staying ahead of where we think the consumer is. Consumer worries Trevor Edwards and also the marketers in my sample. We can't be better than our clients in their businesses, but I really believe that we can help them with fresh perspective on consumers. Clients put money in understanding consumer, which usually kills our ideas, as we all know. But they are not used to look for the genuine, the authentic, the special thing that make the communication insightful and engaging. As an advertising agency, there is really no substitute for spending time with people whose motivation we are trying to understand and to capture in our communication. Doing so, we can help our clients to spot the asshole factor. When Porsche asked Goodby Silverstein and partners to pitch its American North business, the company was experiencing serious problems. The only problem the agency could have addressed was one of the Porsche's image. In a discussion with known Porsche owners, John Steele, at the time partner in the agency, asked them to write down in a bubble their thoughts about Porsche. One respondent summed up the feeling of many more, writing just one word, asshole. One word underlying Porsche problems. Several years later, John Steele heard a Porsche top executive, like a CEO, still referring to the need to address the asshole factor.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Okay. You said me 5 minutes and everything went. No, it didn't. I believe that on the agency side, selling big ideas means a formation of a very well-performed roles. I'm not preaching here making a strange coalition, but I'm talking about assigning trust-building missions to certain people in the agency. The creative director that I illustrated here as a clown, which is one of the best assets, is not the best of the agency. He's the one who is smart, funny, enthusiastic, and drives breaking through solution. He's the one that can build the agency credibility in front of the client, and given their hunger for people, they are very curious about the people, they are very good connectors, so they can build intimacy. But they are very, very bad on self-orientation, because creation is very much related to ego, and this ego on creative director and creatives in general is very transparent to the client. Client service is the only position in the agency that keeps a constant relation with the client. By their role, they make commitments in the name of the agency, so they have a bigger impact on reliability, and the frequency they meet the client put them in the position to be very good in building intimacy. The strategists, the wise guys, ambivalent between business and creativity, They are very good in conveying to the client credibility, but also self-orientation, because they are not that egocentric as creative director. As self-orientation is the denominator of the trust equation, the leader of the agency has to work a lot on that. Many companies still share the belief that business reasoning is generally fueled by IQ power of the brain, while emotional intelligence is seen as a discrete activity. A recent study published by Harvard Business Review shows that executives use equally emotions and rational while doing strategic thinking. So the best way to persuade is to unite an intellectual thought with emotion by telling a compelling story. In a story, you not only wave a lot of information, but you are arouse the energy and the emotion of the listener. Robert McKee, scriptwriter professor, explained that human mind, in its attempt to understand and to memorize things, is collecting it's assembled bits of information into a story. Stories are how we understand and remember. We tend to forget bullet points. And our clients, think about, they are dealing with a lot of story. This is how they understand the past of the company and how they envision the future. Because a vision is just a story about the future. This is why I truly believe that the language on which big ideas should be delivered is storytelling. Before saying goodbye, I'm very happy to share with you this sketch drawn recently by David Kennedy, when he was asked to describe visually his own process, his own creative process. And he says that art directors offers banana to monkey, monkey drops peel, which causes candle to rise, burning string flame starters sleeping tomcat, who collides with sprinkling can, which extinguish candles. Subvert string release mallet, which hits head of copywriter, who in semi-conscious state pens 3-word slogan of the century, just do it. I guess that the copywriter is long life partner of David Kennedy, Dan Wyden. If the creation of ideas is still a mystery, it can't be reproduced. I hope that, I think that the selling of the idea is not anymore a mystery for you, as I try to convince you here. Thank you.